Why does Instructor Kira Voss calmly eat lunch while her human students face supposedly lethal training scenarios? The transport ship shuddered as it entered Nexus 7's atmosphere. Lucy Reeves gripped her harness tighter, knuckles white against the metal restraints. Around her, 19 other human cadets sat in rigid silence, each face a mask of controlled fear. "Final approach to Deathworld training facility," announced the pilot. "Prepare for landing." Lucy glanced at Jack Harmon across the aisle. His jaw clenched as the ship rattled violently. They'd all heard the rumors. No human had ever completed training here. The ship landed with a hard thud. Hydraulics hissed. The door slid open, releasing a blast of hot, sulfurous air that made Lucy's eyes water. "Move," barked a voice from outside. "Single file. Now." They marched down the ramp onto cracked, black soil. The sky above burned orange, two suns hanging low on the horizon. Metal structures jutted from the landscape like broken bones. A tall figure waited for them. 7 feet of muscle and gray skin. Valkyrie. The alien's 4 eyes tracked their movement with predatory focus. "I am Instructor Voss," she said, voice like gravel. "You are the first humans sent to my facility. You will not be the first to die here." Lucy felt her heart hammer against her ribs. The air tasted wrong, metallic and thin. "Follow me," Voss ordered, turning without checking if they obeyed. They hurried after her through massive blast doors into a corridor lined with strange symbols. Warning lights pulsed along the ceiling. The walls seemed to absorb sound, creating an unnatural silence broken only by their footsteps. "This facility tests warriors," Voss said as they entered a circular room with 20 pods arranged like spokes on a wheel. "The Valkyrie lose 30% of trainees here. For humans?" She made a sound like rocks grinding together. 100% failure rate is expected. "With respect," said Cadet Morris, "we've trained for—" "Your training means nothing," Voss cut him off. "Earth Command sends you here because war comes. They hope some might survive to fight." Lucy noticed something odd. While Voss spoke of death and failure, her posture remained relaxed, almost bored. "Your first test begins now," Voss said, tapping a control panel on her wrist. Red lights flashed. Alarms blared. The air changed instantly, becoming thick, cloudy. "Toxin release," a computerized voice announced. "Oxygen levels critical." Cadets scrambled for the breathing masks attached to their belts. Lucy fumbled with hers, fingers suddenly clumsy. Her lungs burned. Around her, others coughed violently. Through watering eyes, Lucy saw Instructor Voss walk calmly to a corner of the room. The Valkyrie sat down, pulled out a container, and began unwrapping what looked like food. Morris collapsed nearby. 2 others stumbled into each other, masks half attached. Lucy finally secured her mask, gasping as filtered air filled her lungs. She stared in disbelief at Voss, who took a large bite from something purple and steaming. The instructor caught Lucy watching. Their eyes met across the chaos of struggling cadets. Voss smiled, actually smiled, and continued eating her lunch. Lucy felt cold realization wash over her. This wasn't just training. This was something else entirely. And Instructor Voss knew exactly what was happening. The toxin grew thicker. Another cadet fell. The toxin cleared from the air an hour later. 3 cadets lay in the medical bay, with chemical burns in their lungs. Lucy sat on her assigned bunk, hands still shaking as she checked her breathing mask for flaws. "Standard Earth military gear," Jack said, examining his own mask beside her. "But it barely worked against whatever that was." Lucy nodded. "Did you see Voss?" "Just sitting there eating while we choked." "Maybe Valkyrie don't need to breathe the same air," Jack suggested. No. She knew it was coming. She was ready for it. The barracks door slid open with a metallic hiss. Instructor Voss filled the frame, her gray skin reflecting the harsh overhead lights. "Second test begins in 5 minutes," she announced. Combat floor. Full gear. Lucy grabbed her suit from the storage locker. The material felt thin, almost fragile against her fingers. Not what she expected for a place called Deathworld. The combat floor was a vast metal grid stretching 50 meters in each direction. Walls of black glass surrounded it. Observation windows, Lucy guessed, though she couldn't see through them. Today, we test your adaptation to gravity shifts, Voss said. She held a small silver package in one hand. Food again. Your enemy will not always fight on worlds like yours. Voss tapped her wrist control. The floor hummed beneath them. Lucy felt her weight double instantly. Her knees buckled. Around her, cadets dropped to the floor, pinned by invisible force. Only Morris remained standing, his face red with strain. Move, Voss ordered. Reach the far wall. Lucy pushed against the floor. Her muscles screamed. She managed to get to her hands and knees, then forced one foot under her body. A loud crack echoed across the room. Cadet Wilson screamed. His leg bent at an unnatural angle. Bone density, Voss commented, unwrapping her silver package. Humans lack it. She bit into something that looked like raw meat. Lucy took a step forward, then another. Sweat poured down her face. Her vision narrowed to the floor directly ahead. A sudden shift. Gravity reversed. Lucy slammed into the ceiling, then fell as gravity normalized for a split second before pulling sideways. Cadets tumbled across the floor like rag dolls. Equipment tore free from suits. Blood spattered the metal grid. Through it all, Voss stood perfectly balanced, eating her meal. Lucy crashed into the wall. Pain shot through her shoulder. She looked up to see Voss watching her with those 4 alien eyes. Was that approval? The gravity stabilized. Medical drones rushed in to attend to the injured. 3 more for the medical bay, Voss announced. Better than expected. That night, Lucy couldn't sleep. She slipped from her bunk and accessed the facility's information terminal. Her fingers flew across the screen, searching for records of previous human squads. The data showed 5 prior attempts, all withdrawn after severe casualties. None completed even half the program. A noise made her turn. Jack stood in the doorway. "What are you doing?" he whispered. "Looking for answers," Lucy said. "Something's wrong here. Voss keeps eating during the tests, like she's watching a show. Maybe she's just cruel." Lucy shook her head. "No, I saw her adjust something on her control panel when no one was looking. Right before the gravity stabilized." Jack's eyes widened. "You think she's helping us?" "I don't know. But tomorrow, I'm going to find out." The facility lights dimmed suddenly. A red glow filled the corridor. "Neural simulation test moved forward," announced the facility AI. "All cadets report immediately." Lucy and Jack exchanged worried glances. This wasn't scheduled. Someone was changing the rules. The neural simulation left half the class in the medical bay. Lucy watched through the glass as medics attached regeneration units to her classmates' temples. Inside their minds, they were still fighting battles that weren't real. "Brain chemistry disruption," the medical drone explained. "Human neural pathways cannot process Valkyrie battle simulations correctly." Lucy rubbed her own temples. She had escaped the worst effects by focusing on a single point in the virtual battlefield Instructor Voss, who had once again been eating during the test. This time, a bowl of something that steamed and shifted colors. 10 cadets down, Jack whispered as they walked back to the barracks. "At this rate, none of us will finish the program." Lucy stopped walking. "I need to know what's happening. Cover for me tonight. What are you going to do?" "Follow Voss." Night cycle brought dim blue lighting to the facility corridors. Lucy slipped from her bunk and pressed her hand against the door sensor. It recognized her palm print and slid open with a soft hiss. The hallway stretched empty before her. She moved quickly, staying close to the wall. Her footsteps echoed despite her care. A shadow moved ahead. Lucy pressed herself into a recessed doorway. Instructor Voss walked past, her tall frame unmistakable, even in the low light. Lucy followed at a distance, ducking behind corners whenever Voss paused. They moved deeper into the facility, past areas marked with Valkyrie symbols Lucy couldn't read. Voss stopped at a heavy door marked with red warning lights. She placed her hand on a scanner. The door opened, revealing a room filled with glowing screens and holographic displays. Lucy crept closer, hiding behind a support column. Inside, Voss stood before a large screen, showing the face of a human man in an Earth military uniform. General rank insignia gleamed on his shoulders. "The humans are failing as expected," Voss said. "Their equipment is inadequate for true Deathworld conditions." "That's the point, Instructor," the general replied. "We need to know their limits before the Krell arrive. War is coming. We need soldiers who can survive impossible conditions. Your species is not built for this training. Then build them, Instructor." "That's why we sent them to you?" Lucy's heart pounded in her chest. They were being used as test subjects. "I've modified the parameters as agreed," Voss said. "Without adjustments, your cadets would all be dead already." Lucy nearly gasped. Voss was helping them? "Keep the modifications minimal," the general ordered. "We need to know what humans can truly endure. The Krell will not show mercy." "Exactly. Neither should you." The screen went dark. Voss stood silent for a moment, then turned toward the door toward Lucy. Lucy ran. Her boots squeaked against the metal floor. She turned a corner and collided with Jack. "What are you doing here?" She hissed. "Making sure you don't get killed," he said. "What did you find?" "Earth Command sent us here to test human limits before a war with someone called the Krell. And Voss, she's been making the tests easier." Jack's eyes widened. "Easier? People are dying." "Not as many as should be," Lucy said. "We need to access the facility systems. Find out what real Deathworld training looks like." They moved to a maintenance terminal in an empty corridor. Jack's fingers flew across the interface. "I'm in," he whispered. "But this can't be right." The screen showed training parameters, current settings, original settings. Lucy felt the blood drain from her face. If these are the reduced settings, then the real ones would. A hand clamped down on her shoulder. Lucy spun around. Instructor Voss loomed over them. All four eyes narrowed. "Now you know," she said. "The question is, what will you do with this information?" "We know you've been helping us," Lucy said, trying to keep her voice steady despite Voss's grip on her shoulder. Voss released her and looked at the terminal screen. "You should not be here." "Why are you making the tests easier?" Jack demanded. "If Earth Command wants to see our limits, your limits?" Voss made that grinding sound, again a Valkyrie laugh. "Your true limits would be death within hours." Lucy pointed at the screen. "These original settings are designed for Valkyrie warriors," Voss said. "Our training kills 90% of candidates. It is meant to. Only the strongest survive." The corridor lights flickered. A distant alarm began to sound. "You have triggered a security alert," Voss said. "The facility I has detected unauthorized access." Jack tried to close the terminal. "I can shut it down." Too late. Voss pushed them away from the screen. "The system will reset to default parameters." Red warning lights flashed along the walls. A mechanical voice echoed through the facility. "Security breach detected. Training protocols resetting to standard configuration. All modifications removed." Lucy felt cold fear spread through her chest. What does that mean for the others? "It means they will face true Deathworld conditions." Voss's four eyes blinked in sequence. "Few Valkyrie survive this. No human has ever." A massive boom shook the facility. The lights went out, replaced by emergency red glow strips along the floor. "Atmospheric containment breached in Sector 7, announced the AI. "Gravity fluctuations detected in sectors 3 through 6. Neural simulation pods entering combat reality mode. The barracks are in Sector 3, Jack said, his face pale in the red light. Voss moved with sudden speed toward a wall panel. She ripped it open and pulled out what looked like weapons. "Take these," she ordered, handing them each a metal rod. "Press the center to activate. They generate a force field." Lucy stared at the alien technology in her hand. "Why are you helping us?" "Because your generals are fools," Voss said. "They think breaking humans will make them stronger. I have trained warriors for 200 years. Breaking is just breaking." Another explosion rocked the facility. The floor beneath them tilted. "We need to reach the others," Lucy said. Voss nodded. "Follow me." "Stay close." They ran through corridors now filled with smoke and debris. The gravity shifted unpredictably, one moment normal, the next pulling them toward the walls or ceiling. Lucy activated her force rod. A blue bubble surrounded her, stabilizing her movement against the gravity shifts. They reached Sector 3. The barracks door had been torn from its frame. Inside, the remaining cadets huddled together as the room spun around them. "Instructor," Morris called out. "What's happening?" "The facility has reset to true Deathworld settings," Voss explained. "We must reach the central control room to override it." "Why should we trust you?" a cadet named Rodriguez asked. "You've been torturing us for days." "No," Lucy said. "She's been protecting us. The real training is much worse." As if to prove her point, the ceiling panels above them began to glow red-hot. The metal bubbled and melted. "Heat purge initiated," the AI announced. "Temperature rising to Valkyrie combat standards." Voss did something unexpected. She put down the container of food she'd been carrying. For the first time, she wasn't eating during a crisis. "Now," she said, her voice deeper and more commanding than before, "you will see why I'm the instructor here." Voss's gray skin began to shift, hardening into what looked like natural armor. Her muscles expanded. She grew taller. "Stay behind me," she ordered. "The real training has begun." Voss charged through the melting ceiling panels, her armored body absorbing heat that would have killed the humans instantly. She tore a path through the metal, creating an escape route. "Move now," she ordered. Lucy led the cadets through the opening. The corridor beyond glowed with emergency lights. Warning sirens blared from every direction. "The control room is 3 sectors away," Voss said. "We must cross the combat floor." They ran as a group, force rods activated. Blue shields flickered around them, barely holding against the facility's attacks. Walls sprouted metal spikes. Floor panels opened to reveal pits of bubbling liquid. The air itself seemed to fight them, becoming thick then thin without warning. Rodriguez fell first. A gravity spike pulled him into a wall at crushing speed. The sound of impact echoed through the corridor. "Keep moving," Voss commanded. Morn later, the combat floor had transformed. What was once a simple metal grid now rippled like liquid. Holographic enemies appeared and disappeared, firing weapons that left real burns when they hit. "These are Krell," Voss explained, pointing at the flickering images. "Your future enemy. The system is preparing you to fight them. By killing us first?" Jack shouted, dodging energy blasts. "That is the Valkyrie way," Voss replied. Lucy studied the pattern of attacks. They appear in sequence, she realized. 3 seconds between waves. She counted under her breath, then shouted, "Now!" The cadets rushed forward during the brief gap. 2 more fell, caught by surprise attacks from below. "The control room is through that door." Voss pointed to a sealed entrance across the combat floor. "It's locked down," Lucy said, examining the security panel beside it. "I cannot override it," Voss admitted. "The facility has revoked my authority." Jack pushed forward. "I can hack it." "Cover me." Lucy and the remaining cadets formed a circle around Jack as he worked on the panel. Voss stood at the perimeter, her body absorbing hits meant for the humans. "Almost there," Jack said, fingers flying across the interface. The floor beneath them began to shake violently. Final purge sequence initiated, announced the AI, removing all biological contaminants. Hurry, Lucy urged. Got it, Jack shouted as the door slid open. They rushed inside. The control room was a dome of screens and holographic displays. At the center stood a pillar of pulsing light. The main AI core, Voss said. We must shut it down completely. Lucy examined the controls. These are Valkyrie symbols. I can't read them. I will guide you, Voss said. But you must execute the commands. The system will not accept my input now. Together they worked through the shutdown sequence. The facility fought back. Electrical discharges arced across the room. One struck Morris, who fell screaming. Final code, Voss instructed. Enter it now. Lucy's hands shook as she input the sequence. The pillar of light flickered, then went dark. Silence fell across the facility. The attacks stopped. Emergency shutdown complete. A different voice announced. Backup systems online. Earth Military Command notified. Lucy collapsed to the floor, exhausted. Of the 20 cadets who arrived, only 7 remained standing. 3 were dead. The rest lay in the medical bay with injuries that would never fully heal. Hours later, Earth military ships arrived. Generals in pressed uniforms walked through the facility, examining the damage with clinical interest. Lucy stood at attention as a medal was held out to her. Cadet Reeves, your performance was exemplary, said the lead general. You've proven humans can survive Deathworld training. Lucy looked at the medal, then at the body bags being carried past. She did not take it. We are test subjects, she said. Not soldiers. The general's face hardened. War doesn't care about the difference, cadet. Later, Lucy found Voss in the now quiet combat room. The Valkyrie was eating again. Her armor retracted. Why did you help us? Lucy asked. Because true warriors are not made by breaking them, Voss said. They are forged by challenging them just enough. She offered Lucy a piece of her food. You have potential beyond what either of our species imagined. Before Lucy could respond, alarms blared again, not training alarms, real ones. Attention all personnel, announced a voice. Krell ships detected entering the system. This is not a drill. Voss stood, her food forgotten. Now, she said, the real test begins.